Have you ever stopped to think about how a perfectly crisp 4K movie can just stream to your TV? No problem. Or how a live football game gets to millions of screens all at the same time, instantly? Well, the answer is this unsung hero of the digital age, video compression. It's kind of like the invisible magic that makes our entire media world go round. Okay, let's dive in and see exactly how it works. And hey, just for a little context, what we're talking about today is part 9 of a bigger 40-part series all about modern broadcast studios. We're pulling all this info from chapter 9 of the source material. Okay, look at this number, 1.5 gigabits per second. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the absolutely staggering amount of data for just 1 single second of uncompressed, high-definition video. I mean, it is a colossal, mind-boggling amount of information. So that brings us to the fundamental problem, right? How do you solve that? Broadcast channels, your home internet, they're like garden hoses. They've only got so much room. Trying to shove that 1.5 gigabit per second fire hose of raw video data through it, yeah, it's not going to work. It's impossible. You've got to find a way to make it smaller. And that, my friends, is where our clever solution comes in. We're not just talking about shrinking a file, like zipping up a document. We're using a really ingenious set of algorithms to fundamentally and smartly reduce the amount of data we need in the first place. So here's the secret sauce. Video compression is smart in 2 really cool ways. First, it looks for anything repetitive in the picture, like a blue sky that doesn't change much, and it gets super efficient with that data. But the real magic trick? It also strategically throws away tiny bits of visual information that our eyes probably wouldn't have even noticed were there. It's a clever hack based entirely on the limitations of our own human vision. So, how is this magic actually performed? Well, the tools that do all the heavy lifting are called codecs. It's short for coder-decoder. You can think of them as the specific languages or the instruction sets for how to squeeze a video down and then on the other end, how to build it back up again. First up, we've got MPEG-2. This is the old reliable, the OG, the dependable workhorse that made the first generation of digital TV and, DVDs possible. Believe it or not, it's still hanging around today, especially in some of those legacy broadcast systems. Then came H.264, which you might also see called Advanced Video Coding, or AVC. Now, this one was a complete game changer. It basically doubled the efficiency of MPEG-2, and in doing so, it became the codec that powered the entire high-definition streaming revolution. Seriously, this thing is everywhere. Broadcast, Blu-ray, pretty much the whole web. And that brings us to the powerful newcomer H.265, or HEVC, which stands for High Efficiency Video Coding. This one is about 50% more efficient than H.264. That's a huge leap, and it's what makes streaming 4K and Ultra HD content actually practical. The trade-off? Well, all that extra cleverness needs a lot more processing power, more computational muscle to pull it off. Now, this table really lays it all out perfectly. Just look at the row for typical HD bitrate. With MPEG-2, you needed a chunky 15 to 20 megabit per second. H.264 comes along and cuts that almost in half. Then HEVC does it again, cutting it in half one more time. Each generation is delivering the same or even better quality using dramatically less data. That's progress. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This incredible efficiency isn't free. There's always a trade-off. There's a price you have to pay for squeezing all that data down so aggressively. And wow, this picture says it all. This is a perfect example of one of those costs. What you're looking at is called color banding. When the compression gets pushed too far, a nice smooth gradient, like a sunset or a blue sky, just breaks apart into these ugly, distracting, visible steps. The subtle information that made that gradient look smooth just got tossed out to save space. And banding isn't the only villain here. You might also see what's called blocking, where the image starts to look like it's made of little Lego bricks. Or mosquito noise, that weird fizzy, shimmery stuff you see around sharp edges. It's a constant balancing act for engineers, trying to find that sweet spot between file size and visual quality. Okay, let's pause for a second and clear something up that trips a lot of people up. You've definitely seen files that end in .mp4 or .mov, right? It's really important to know that those things are not the codecs themselves. Here is the absolute best way to think about it. The codec, like H.264, is the language the video is written in. The container, like an MP4 file, is the shipping box. That box doesn't just hold the compressed video, it holds the audio, the subtitles, metadata. It wraps it all up together in one neat, convenient package. So while all these principles apply to any digital video, when we start talking about professional broadcast, well, the whole game changes. The stakes get exponentially higher, and the challenges become way more demanding than just uploading a video to the web. For a live broadcast, you are dealing with some incredibly strict constraints. For starters, latency, that's the delay, has to be almost zero, less than a second for live events. The quality has to be rock solid and consistent. I mean, nobody's going to tolerate a blocky, buffering picture during the winning goal of a World Cup final. And on top of all that, everything has to follow rigid technical standards set by regulators, like ATSC in North America or DVB in Europe. So this all brings us to one final big question. We're already moving past 4K and looking at 8K and beyond. As our appetite for higher and higher resolution just keeps growing, will our compression technology be able to keep up with the demand? Or are we going to hit a wall, a point where we have to start choosing between amazing picture quality and the convenience of actually being able to send it to people? It's a huge challenge, and it's something engineers are working on right this very second.